test. On Fleetwood Mac, my roommate's dead. Fungus fermentation. Another Wonka reboot, JFK's assassination.
It's not my favorite topic, just my brain's current fixation.
Hyperfocus.
Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast. My name is Virginia Dickens, and I'm here with New York City-based comedian Rachel Kenaston.
Hello, Virginia.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
I'm super excited to get into our topics. In a little bit, Rachel is going to talk about celebrities from West Virginia. And then after that, I'm going to talk about my hyperfocus, which is Jerry Seinfeld's 17-year-old girlfriend.
Ooh, yikes.
And like what she's up to these days. And, but before we dive into that, I like to start with just like asking you, Rachel, what your experience has been being neurodivergent.
I think it's been mostly a good time. I feel like I wasn't diagnosed until I was 36. Well, my sister was diagnosed first as inattentive ADHD, and that was probably like 10 years before I was diagnosed, but that really helped because I just went into my psychiatrist and I was like, look, my sister, my dad, my brother are all ADHD, and it's like, and I think it's been ruining my life for 20 years. And he was like, well, okay, let's start you on the meds that your sister is on. So it was like her having a diagnosis made it so much easier because I had therapists and psychiatrists like before they would admit that I, could use meds. And they never figured it out. And I never really wanted to be like, hey, I think I'm ADHD because I wanted them to tell me or to notice that it was true.
Sometimes it feels like, especially with ADHD, they make people feel bad for wanting meds sometimes. So you don't want to come across like
you're seeking drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think at least for me, I don't say this with any kind of like hyperbole. 100% of my friends are ADHD. Like I don't have any neurotypical people in my life. So as they started to get diagnosed in their like late 20s, early 30s, it was kind of just like watching them fall. And like, oh, really? You think you're ADHD too? Okay, yeah, right. I was like, well, so-and-so's way worse. And I was like, well, so-and-so is also neurodivergent. That's why they're my friend.
Yeah.
Like,
they're I think I know because they're my friends. So
truly. And I've never been attracted to someone that was neurotypical. Looking back on my crushes, I was like, every single one of them was neurodivergent. And I was just like, oh, they could understand me. And I could understand them because our brains work the same way. And then one chilling anecdote that I had forgotten about until recently was in college. My college advisor, who was doing my thesis, tried to intervention me and be like, Rachel, if you move to New York, you will fail and like you will never succeed if you don't get like your mental health under control. But all I heard was like, you will fail. Because I went to the therapy like office at my school and they're like, oh, we don't specialize in ADHD. And then I genuinely forgot about it for like 10, 15 years. And then once I did get a diagnosis, I was like, oh, I actually think my advisor was trying to help me. But it came across to me as like, you're going to fail because you have no discipline, which is true. I had no discipline.
If I don't take my medication, it's not a lot's getting done.
The thing that just popped in my head when you said medication, I was like, I remember. It's because I'm a pothead. I was like, I've been smoking weed for 20 years, and so I was 100% self-medicating with weed. In high school and junior high, I was always too much for people. I was like winning screaming contests and stuff. And then I started smoking, and I was like, just, oh, now I can be normal. Like, I'm at the level that other people are. For me, it helped my brain slow down enough, or I guess give me enough dopamine to like get things done.
Kind of what you described for me was like drinking. It took away that that overthinking part of my brain kind of just went away, and then I could just enjoy myself and exist and just like have a nice time, which I don't drink anymore. So I've had to navigate like.
So you don't drink at all?
Very rarely. I'll find a new thing maybe.
You have to replace it with something.
Yeah.
You can't go cold turkey. You have to replace your addiction.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah. So you're going to do a podcast now.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a great segue to get into your hyperfocus, which is West Virginia celebrities. And I'm assuming, are you from West Virginia?
Yeah, that would be a weirder one if I weren't, but more niche, I guess. It occurred to me that anytime someone comes up on the TV that I know is from West Virginia, they'll be like, Steve Harvey. I'm like, oh, they're from West Virginia. And everyone's like, how do you know that? And I swear everyone from West Virginia knows every celebrity that is from there because there aren't that many of us. We have 1.77 million people, which is less than the borough of Brooklyn.
Yes.
And so we count everyone. This is another thing that baffles my mind is say you go on to be some wildly successful or like innovative person. You have a Wikipedia. On your Wikipedia, it's going to say where you were born and where you died. And it doesn't say anything about the time in between. So where were you born?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. That's a great start. And we don't know where you're going to die, but like where would you say you were from?
I say Ohio or Cincinnati because that's where I grew up.
Okay, yeah, and then that's so sad for Cincinnati because they won't get to claim you. It's like you're gonna be Cleveland's, and you didn't spend any time there.
I see. Yeah,
and that's always kind of bothered me. So I'm proud. So my birthday is Charleston, West Virginia, and I'm rooting for like a New York death, you know. But we're somewhere at Paris, like somewhere fancy,
somewhere fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but the middle stuff, you would never know. There are a couple of celebrities that I count as being from West Virginia that aren't necessarily on Wikipedia. For example, Kelly Clarkson.
Was born in West Virginia.
Okay, so she was born in Texas.
Okay. I think I maybe knew that.
Yeah, she was born in Texas and her mom was from West Virginia. Well, so when she came up on American Idol, we were all excited. We were like, oh my gosh, she's from West Virginia.
Yeah.
Now you Google it, you would never know.
Got it.
But we claim her, Kelly Clarkson. Firstly, I don't care about athletes. I don't care about country music. So those aren't counted. Athletes come from everywhere, except for Mary Lou Retton.
I don't know who that is.
All right, so she was a gymnast in the 80s, and the past couple years she's had like a lot of health problems, so she has pneumonia, and she went viral recently for being like asking for money because she can't afford her medical bills or something. My mom knew her aunt.
Okay.
That's about it.
Is it also one of those things where like it's a degree connection thing? Like
Yeah.
you know them or you know someone who knows them? Or,
Oh, yeah. You know the town they're from. Like if you said you were from some town, I'd say, oh, do you know so-and-so from that town? And you probably do. But that's a beautiful small town thing, even though it's a fairly large land area. The most famous would be John Nash, mathematician from like A Beautiful Mind. Russell Crowe, in other words. We had Chuck Yeager, who I went to school under the Yeager Scholarship because he broke the sound barrier. He was like a pilot. And then who else is big? Oh, Don Knotts. He was, you know, in the Andy Griffith Show.
Yes.
He's like the cop, the bumbly one.
Okay.
He's an adorable little guy. I don't know if he's still alive. He probably isn't. And Bill Withers, he died last year.
Who's Bill Withers?
Okay, he's a singer. See, this is where it was like, you know all of them if you're from West Virginia, but it is niche because most people don't. He did like Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone.
Yeah, I know that song.
But there also was a kind of a theory where if you make it out of West Virginia and you become successful, like you will go crazy. Because
interesting.
Look at John Nash. It was like, all right, he's a brilliant man, but he's also schizophrenic. It's like we are really big on the mental health line.
They get famous, leave West Virginia, and then go crazy.
It's probably all mixed up
it's
together.
all like, it's like fame exposes the...
I think that might be it. It might take a level of like delusion to think that you could make it in a giant world with like so much competition when you're from a small place. That could be part of it. It could just be, you know, as you get more notoriety, as like stress comes in and you don't necessarily have the support for it. It's also, I don't know, it's like we are from the mountains, so it's a lot of prejudice. So if you come up to New York and you're like, hey, can you get me an umbrella? People will be like, wow, that person's really uneducated. I was like, that's a dialectical choice. You know, get the umbrella, which is how I say that. So I think you're a small cog in a system that you're not necessarily like, isn't made for you, perhaps. Still rooting for some people. Like sometimes people come out and like, oh, they're still good. But it's Mary Lou Retton is one. I was like, she's a great athlete and now, you know, she's dying like penniless. Oh, Morgan Spurlock. He was the Super Size Me documentary guy.
Oh, okay.
And he died in 2020, apparently, from cancer of, I don't remember what kind of cancer. This is another classic West Virginia tale. You're like, oh, so-and-so did this, and then you'd say the bad thing that happened to them. And then you get like, oh, bless their heart. You know?
Right, yeah.
But so Morgan Spurlock came up and he did a bunch of documentaries, and my mother was in a book club with his mother. And my mom offered, she was like, Rachel, email and I'll get you an internship or a job with his production company. I was like, oh, that's awesome, sure. And I never did it because I'm ADHD and I just never got around to emailing him. I was like really desperate for a job too. But then it came out that he got Me Too'd.
Maybe in a way, like, your ADHD benefited you because you couldn't apply for this job there, so you avoided, like...
Morgan Spurlock. Oh, Charles Manson. That was another one.
He's from West Virginia?
No, he was born in Ohio.
Oh, right. I should
Pretty
know
sure
that.
he was born in Ohio.
Oh, I have a lot of knowledge of Ohioans also. Like, Nick Lachey's from Ohio.
Yes, I knew that as well.
Nancy Cartwright is from Ohio. Jerry Springer is from Ohio.
And I love him.
Jerry Springer?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
He's gotten better and better with time.
I should have known Charles Manson is from Ohio. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from Ohio, but then his mom was incarcerated in 1929 for 10 years for robbery, and he went to live with his family in West Virginia.
Okay.
And then he was later incarcerated in West Virginia. And 1984, he requested to be moved back to West Virginia prison so he could be close to his family, but he was denied. Steve Harvey is a good one. He's one that people never think of. He is from Welch originally, and I looked this up. So Steve Harvey, 1985, started doing stand-up, and then he was homeless. He was like unhoused while he was doing stand-up. And similarly, Morgan Spurlock started doing stand-up in the 80s and was unhoused.
Wow.
So that's also is like maybe you have to do your misfortune at the top of your career if you don't do it at the end. Mm-hmm. It's like you're not making it out unless you sacrifice some kind of
yeah.
And he was raised by his grandmother. I don't know that much about him because that's more like, I think Morgantown is where he ended up. That's north.
Oh, I have family in Morgantown.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
See, we probably have friends in common.
Yeah, they probably all know each other. They're probably hanging out right now without us.
And then the biggest one to me would be, drumroll, Jennifer Garner, because she used to go to my church and she babysat me when I was little.
Was she born in West Virginia or moved there as a child?
No, great question. She was born in Oklahoma,
okay.
So you would never know.
Right.
Like she spent her whole childhood and high school in West Virginia, but on her Wikipedia, it's like born Oklahoma, dead probably LA.
Wait, and so you went to church with her and then she babysat you?
Yeah.
For
until I was 4. We moved away when I was 4 years old. But she was my favorite babysitter. I was thinking about this recently. As far as celebrities that leave and go and do things, she's pretty 5-star. She has no scandals except for Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can pin those on her.
I don't think we can pin those on her either. I don't particularly think Ben Affleck's that scandalous.
He has that horrible tattoo. Have you seen his Phoenix tattoo?
No.
He has a giant Phoenix tattoo on his back, and it's worth a Google.
Oh.
If there is a God is pissed about what he did to that temple. Like, I think that's the thing is we inherently, like, root against him, but that's because he's so tall. He has a literal big head.
Oh.
Like, he has the largest head in Hollywood.
Actually? Like
yeah.
They measured?
I don't know about, they'd have to update it, but that used to be a fact.
That's crazy. Yeah. He doesn't look big-headed to me.
No, because he's a large guy.
Because it's proportionate to his body size.
Yeah. But they've done studies where it's like actors and actresses generally have larger eyes and larger heads than the normal population. And he is the largest head of the people with large heads.
That's crazy. That makes sense because it's more like camera FaceTime or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's true. Even with when I was doing headshot photography, I like wider faces because it's like a bigger canvas.
Yeah.
And then you have a small one, you got less to work with here. So last time I saw Jennifer Garner, I was 12 years old, I think, and her sister was getting married. My dad, this was when Dawson's Creek was on, he told us that Jennifer Garner was dating one of the stars of Dawson's Creek. And I was like, fucking Pacey? Are you kidding me? I was so excited. I told my whole friends at school, I was like, I'm gonna meet Pacey. Holy shit. And I go to the wedding and it's Scott Foley. And we're like, Dad, that was Felicity. Like, Felicity is very different from Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so that was the last time I saw her.
Okay, so that seems like the one maybe so far counter to the theory of nothing bad's really happened to her yet.
Well, yes, she has not. Well, and I'm also hoping that it's not a real theory.
Mm-hmm. Has there been any celebrity that's died from West Virginia that died peacefully?
Oh. I was going to say, do you remember there was Buck Wild was a reality show on MTV? It was set in West Virginia. It was like Jersey Shore, but they were rednecks. This is the biggest redneck. He died because he was mudding, and he and his dad and uncle or something got asphyxiated because their four-wheeler got stuck or their truck got stuck in the mud, and then they had carbon monoxide poisoning. And they had done one season, and he was scheduled to do another season. So it was he gets famous. A couple months later, he dies.
That's horrible.
Of a very redneck death.
And for the listeners who don't know, what is mudding?
Mudding? Okay, so in Ohio or West Virginia, you have a four-wheeler or any kind of device really, and you drive it really fast through the mud, and you try to see how muddy you can get. And it's best to do it on your own property because other people don't like it when you tear up their property in that way.
That's valid, yeah.
It is really fun, but also dangerous. Speaking of redneck things, I have more than one friend that has like blown off a body part cleaning a gun. They talk about like good gun owners versus bad gun owners, but I was like, there are a lot of stupid gun owners too.
Yeah, we forget the stupid part.
Yeah.
It's like good, bad, and stupid.
Yep.
I'm crossing my fingers for Jennifer Gardner. I feel like she can, I mean, she has a long ways to go. She's not that old.
No, I think she's got hope. My ideal death would be dying in my sleep. I feel like that's a classic.
Yeah, it's the best.
And I want to die right after I've like locked away my journals. I've cleaned my house. You know, I hid all the incriminating evidence, and then I just never wake up. I've always had a fear of dying in the bathroom throwing up, and it feels like one of those things where, you know, you have premonitions of your death. Like, I'm afraid of riding in a plane or a boat or water or whatever, and then you end up, like, drowning.
Well, you know what I do is, like, I have this theory that if you expect something to happen, it won't happen. So, like, every time I get on a plane, I'm like, this plane could crash. Like, and then because I've thought of it happening, it's not going to. Because if something like that were to happen, I would be totally caught off guard. It's worked out so far.
If it works for you. Speaking of celebrities and plane crashes, wasn't it, who's the one, he survived like 3 different plane crashes? Harrison Ford, I think.
What?
I think you could look this up. He's a pilot, but he survived like more than one plane crash.
Oh my God. Well, those little planes.
Yeah, don't get in the little planes.
Do not get in the little. I cannot emphasize enough to not get in the little planes or helicopters. But like rich people die in their private little planes.
Yep.
So often.
RFK, John Denver.
Yeah, I am really holding out for Jennifer Gardner. I hope that she has like best life ever.
The best slow death.
Breaks the, I don't want to call it a curse, but breaks the stigma. Okay, and so like my hyperfocus, this was a hyperfocus of mine a while ago, and then I was watching like a YouTube video of just like inappropriate Hollywood relationships, and I forgot that I was so interested in this topic, and so now I'm interested in it again, and it's Jerry Seinfeld's 17-year-old girlfriend, and like what she's up to now.
How old was he when they dated?
38.
Ugh.
And she was 17.
Ugh.
They met in 1993. Seinfeld was in his like 4th year. So he's like just
top of the world.
Literally so famous. You know what's interesting? I don't think he really dated a lot of people in general at that time. Like he wasn't dating the hot girlfriends from his shows.
He did have the hottest girlfriends on that show.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. I was like, you're making out with like Terry Hatcher. What are you doing like pursuing a 17-year-old girl? But I do have kind of a theory of like it's, and not to like get him off the hook or anything, but like there is this certain immaturity level to him, and especially his character on the show, because his character is like a stand-up comedian in his 30s. We know plenty of those. He eats cereal and loves Superman and doesn't drink alcohol. Like that is very childlike, and I'm not saying that gives him any sort of whatever to date teenagers, but
they do have a lot of common.
Maybe his brain's not developed yet either, but I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt though, because he still has a lot of money and a lot of power. The 17-year-old, her name is Shoshana Lowenstein, and they met in Central Park. And she went to Nightingale, which is one of the like private schools
like Gossip Girl
on the Upper East Side. Exactly.
Okay.
She was on a bench in Central Park, and I don't know if she was doing homework or whatever, but he approached her and asked her out, but he didn't know her age until like later is what he claims. The crazy thing is they dated for 4 years. She broke up with him when she was like 21.
Yeah.
And he was like proposing to her. Both of their families were fine with it. But that happens a lot with like celebrity relationships with like minors, is like the parents are very often okay with it because of like the status of the person that they're with. This was interesting. I found out that Jerry Seinfeld's grandmother really approved of Shoshana because she was Jewish but also Syrian, and his grandmother is Jewish and Syrian. And so, like, from a cultural perspective, this YouTube I was watching about that, they made it seem like that's the culture in Syria. You marry super young girls, which I don't know if it is or not. I'm not familiar. I mean, he got backlash for it in the 90s, like a lot of backlash. Howard Stern gave him a ton of shit for it, which is very funny for me.
Howard Stern is like lasted long enough to be less problematic too. He was like the worst guy in the 90s. Like, my dad wouldn't let me listen to it, and now I'm like, oh, he seems like a respectable voice.
He like made up a whole song about Jerry Seinfeld and like dating this girl. But like Julia Louis-Dreyfus was like, oh no, she was super sweet. It was like not weird at all. So like, but they dated for 4 years, like all throughout her college. She went to college initially in DC and then transferred to UCLA to be like closer to him. And
it's nice he let her get her degree though.
Yeah, and then he proposed to her. He wanted to marry her, and then she dumped him.
Good.
Like, it's just embarrassing for him, I think, in every way possible here.
Yeah.
Embarrassing to date a teenager. Embarrassing to want to marry her and then get dumped by her.
You should never accept your first proposal. I've been proposed to 3 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've been 0, but that's by design. Also, I don't want to get married, so that's fine.
Oh, these men should not have been proposing. No, like, it was not like I was waiting for it. I was like, oh God, no. It's a kind of feeling.
Right. No, that's like that should be one of your like facts you tell people, because that is a flex. I think it's a flex. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But it just reminds you, it's like, I don't need to feel sad about being single.
Yeah.
It's like, at a certain point, this was a choice.
With Shoshana, she dumps Jerry. Like a year after that, starts her own clothing line.
Good.
With a nice loan from her father.
Gross.
Who is a CEO of something or other.
Ew.
And I mean, I'm rooting for her, kind of. I don't like Jerry Seinfeld for like so many different reasons, because he like has weird like, thoughts on cancel culture, and
he's really annoying these days.
He's super annoying. And then like
watch Cars and Coffee. Those are great series. I like him. I like seeing him happy with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, you know,
Yeah.
but he needs to shut up.
He needs to shut the fuck up. My theory is that he's like bitter, because in my opinion, the only good thing he's really done is Seinfeld.
Right, which was Larry David.
Which was also Larry
All
David.
of those immature things he listed were Larry David.
Yeah.
Superman, Serial.
He's like, well, you can't say things nowadays because of cancel culture, and you can't be politically incorrect. But meanwhile, Larry David's making one of the most popular, most politically corrected shows of like all time simultaneously. So I'm just like, are you like bitter, or what's your deal? And so I don't like him. And then he's also a Zionist, but like,
Really?
Oh yeah, big time. But then also like Shoshana is too, because I checked her Instagram, and I'm
So they're
like,
compatible.
yeah. Yeah. They are I mean, they could date now. She's like, I think 49 years old. So like now it would be totally acceptable. I'm like, were they compatible back then? Who knows? Probably not, because your brain doesn't develop till you're 25 years old. So maybe they would hate each other now.
Does she have a partner?
She was married for a bit. She has 3 kids, and she's now divorced.
My friends say that I am very narrow-minded as far as age gaps go, but I can't stand them. It was like when my guy friends turned 30, they started dating 20-year-olds, and it just gave me the ick.
Oh, that's
and I
horrible.
hated it. Yeah, it was like their quarter-life crisis was just to find a young girl. It really bothers me.
Yeah,
and
that
I'm
bothers
also
me
just
too.
not attracted to older or younger people.
I like to date my age. Like,
If someone
I'm 30,
is from 1988, I get so hard. I'm like,
You're like, yes, that's my year. Right before I turned 32, I was going out with a 27-year-old. And I was like weird about that. And everyone's like, Virginia, that's fine. And I was like, is he even millennial? Like, what's happening? And he had a SoundCloud. That doesn't mean anything.
I think we're all beautiful, magical souls just floating around, you know, our physical bodies shouldn't be cages or whatever. But if you didn't watch Nickelodeon, then I was like, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah. You just have more things in common with people that are your age. But it is interesting, because Jerry Seinfeld's like current wife, Jessica Seinfeld, is 17 years younger than him, and they met when she was 28 and he was 45. She had just gotten back from a 3-month-long anniversary trip to Italy with a different man.
Whoa, that's a short film.
But then apparently that guy she was married to was abusive, at least to like the person he was with after her. So I'm like, okay, we'll give a
Lifetime movie.
Yeah, we'll give a pass to that. Yeah, it is also a Lifetime movie. But they're still married.
The thing that drives me the most crazy about this whole situation is women live longer than men anyway.
We should be dating younger.
We should be dating 20 years younger. That's annoying.
Yeah.
There's so many old ladies in nursing homes just chomping at the bits, and they've been single for 40 years because their husbands had heart attacks.
I always thought for my whole life, like, girls are longer than boys, and I just thought it was because we were better.
I mean, kind of.
I was like, yeah, we're just better. We get to live longer. And then now I'm kind of like, honestly, do I even want to live longer?
At a certain point, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I wonder if the Jerry Seinfeld thing is partly because he's a comedian, because that does seem to be women are far more interested in male comedians than men are interested in female comedians.
100%.
Generally.
Yeah.
I have gotten fans from doing stand-up, but they're not fans that I would want to date.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like the people DMing me are not on my list.
I know. I always joke. I always complain. Like, nobody ever asks me out, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, someone will.
Yep.
I'm like, no, not you.
I had
Not
to
like
stop
that.
complaining about it because I went on 0 dates last year, like 0. And I was going to post about it. I was like, oh, 0 dates, man. And then I was like, no. Then you get offers. I was like, I don't want offers.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of getting offers. It's about me accepting offers.
Yes.
But I'm also attracted to funny guys. I don't know. I don't know if I could do Jerry Seinfeld, but those high pants and the hair is not for me.
What's funny is, like, I find Larry David so attractive.
No.
But like,
My best friend does too.
but like now, like if I looked at
Oh
young,
my
if I looked
God.
at Seinfeld era Larry David,
the big brown,
not
like,
interested,
bush hair on the
not
side.
interested at all. But now I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
That's a tough nut to swallow. I don't know. I think there's an insecurity, which maybe the women can sniff in male comedians, because it's so true. It's all the male comics I know. It would be insane for me to be attracted to them. I was like, you can see right through it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, your life is just
Your
mics and
mess.
shows,
Yeah.
and you have a drinking problem, you know. Yeah, to just someone who's like, wow, they have a lot of followers, or, oh, I've seen them on TikTok before, and they're insecure. Can you imagine? Like, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that. And then maybe by the time female comics get to that point, they don't have that insecurity anymore. Because you can't. You can't post things online as a woman and have insecurity.
Who wants to date a woman that's not insecure?
They're so hard to manipulate.
It's so threatening.
Yes, if they have self-worth, like, get me out of there. I'm so pissed off for the older generation too, because I've seen it with my uncles, etc. They get divorced, they marry younger. They get divorced, they marry even younger. They get divorced again, they get married even younger with fake boobs. Like, they don't learn. They just replace their last wife with a younger version. And as a woman, it pisses me off.
Yeah. No, it's infuriating. But then also I take solace in just knowing that those people are probably super miserable.
Yeah. Well, and the empowered, like, boomer women that are living their best life, they're like, they don't get remarried.
And they're having a great time.
Yeah, we're going to Mamma Mia this on a cruise ship somewhere.
100%. But thank you for chatting with me about Jerry Seinfeld's ex-girlfriend who was 17 years old.
Anytime.
Rachel is a New York City-based comedian. You can follow her at Rachel Kenaston, which is linked in the show notes. Rachel hosts Crowdwork Show and Flower Power Comedy in Brooklyn, and has a short film called Flash Mob coming out with MaxiPad Productions. So follow for more updates. And if you want to follow this show at Hyperfocus Comedy on Instagram, there are updates there on podcast episodes and live shows in New York City. Also, there's a Patreon. Feel free to support if you'd like. That's also linked in the show notes. And I'm Virginia Dickens, and this has been Hyperfocus, a neurodivergent podcast.